Today's episode is sponsored by Permanent Hearing Damage, which is a recording studio based in Philadelphia, owned and operated by Steve Roche from Seisha, Off Minor, Boer War, which you're hearing now, and many others. They've spent the last 25 years specializing in recording, mixing, mastering for punk, hardcore, metal, and related genres at artist-friendly prices. Some recent clients include Piers, Foxtails, Masanera, Closer, Rambo, Stinking Lizaveta, Sanagi, and Witching. Contact Permanent Hearing Damage via their website, permanenthearingdamage.com. Hello, and welcome to Everything Remade, a podcast that I hope is about growth as much as it is about music. I'm Edie Quinn, and we have a great show lined up for you today. Before I tell you about that, I'd like to remind you about our Patreon page at patreon.com/humanmachine, where you can go to sign up and support the show, read zines, get music sneak peeks, and so much more. That's patreon.com/humanmachine. Like I said, today is a special episode where my friends Randall Avalez and Lainey Williams join me to recall our favorite comics of the year. Those weren't necessarily comics that came out last year, but more comics that we've just found this last year or reread during that time. There's also quite a bit of discussion about the craft of making comics. So if that's ever been something that you wanted to dive into, but didn't know how to start, or how other people have done that, be sure to stay tuned. If you're not familiar, Randall and Lainey are the co-creators of a comic called Crash Coral, which you can read at crashcoral.com. It's currently on hiatus, but they'll be back soon, and you can hear about us talk about that as well. Now on to the conversation.
One of the big ones from this year was Superman Kryptonite Spectrum.
Okay.
I read a lot of Superman this year just because of the movie. And I think in terms of like the single issues, that one's probably the better one. I also like Action Comics. It's pretty good right now. But I think Spectrum was like probably one of my favorite reads.
Yeah, I
Just
read the
'cause,
first two
yeah,
issues. I have the
you
other
know,
issues, but I haven't finished it yet. I'm a bit behind on that kind of stuff because I do a lot of reading while I'm waiting to pick up my kids or drop off my kids from school, and that's not necessarily like the few comics that I will actually pick up at the shop every week. It's not as conducive to like taking them in and out of the house all the time, you know. Um,
sure.
have you read any Ice Cream Man? Because that's the creators of Ice Cream Man, right? Have either of you?
I have
No.
the first
Tell us about
trade.
it.
Yeah. Did you like it, Randall, or like it's fucking
It was
weird?
okay.
I mean, I like it a lot.
It,
It's just one of those ones
yeah,
that like I liked it a lot. The library had like 3 trades, and I read them all. They don't have them anymore. Like I don't know. I imagine when it's like 3 whole trades that end up going missing, it's just one of those things where it's like they didn't see a lot of traffic for those books, so they sold them at one of their like events, you know. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I just like how weird it is, you know. And as far as
yeah.
what I read in the Kryptonite Spectrum, it definitely had that like weird vibe. People were calling it the successor to All Star Superman, which I get. I guess I get
I
it,
feel like,
but also I think it's
yeah,
not necessarily
that's a
like
bit much.
yeah. You were gonna say something about Ice Cream Man, Lainey, or just that you hadn't read it?
Oh, no, just that I haven't read it, so I wanted to hear about uh sort of what it's about.
Yeah, I don't know how to
It's a it's a horror anthology, basically.
Okay.
But they get really
meta.
um with the format. Yeah,
Yeah, it's it's basically any issue you pick up, you can read it. Like the Ice Cream Man is like uh almost like a Stephen King like Man in Black type figure. Like and I think there's some connectivity to like the stories and stuff, but I think like from issue to issue,
Yeah.
they're designed so you get a whole story in every issue and you can just pick it up and just read it. And the reason why I haven't read more of it is like although like I said, I think you can just pick it up and read any issue. There is connectivity as far as like the overall like progress of the series. And I'm personally like in some books I'm okay with just like picking up an issue and like there's so much of that like Spawn universe coming out all the time right now. Like every once in a while I'll literally just pick one up and read it and just I th- I think it's a weird um thing that I do every once in a while just to like because from a writing perspective, you're supposed to be you're supposed to sort of create like your issues like when they come out on the stands like to where you're not holding somebody's hand but you're giving someone enough information to like enjoy the issue they picked up no matter where it is in the story. And
Hmm.
I like to just grab one every once in a while if I think the art is good or if I think like whatever, I like to just grab one and see if it does that. And um, then there's like stories like Ice Cream Man where I'm like, yeah, this does that, but like also it's so fucking weird and cool. Like I want to get immersed in this whole like I want to know all the Easter eggs or whatever from the other stories, even if it isn't necessary. So like,
Hmm.
yeah, and it's like it's 50 issues in or something by now. So, it's like I read the first 3 and like if I just like at the shop if I was just like put Ice Cream Man on my pull cuz they don't get singles like on the stands like I'd be starting at probably issue like 48 or something at this point, but um yeah, I think it's awesome. If your library has it, definitely check it out. Um what
And
you go
it's
ahead.
by W. Maxwell Prince and Martin Morazzo.
Yeah.
Morazzo, the artist, is really, really good. He's got like a really like Frank Whiteley.
Yeah,
Everyone
that
kind of looks like Play-Doh.
yeah.
Everyone's chunky and like weird
Yeah.
looking.
I think that's the biggest
Um,
like where people were like this because it's got a sort of a silver agey kind of feel to it and also the artwork.
yeah,
So I think that's the biggest like one-to-one comparison to All-Star Superman. But
and it does a lot of like the uh just like weird psychological Silver Age. Like there's an issue where they him and the Shazam guy go to like a theme park or whatever, and they're talking about his like his um childhoods because he's like it's just weird because that issue is Superman is like regressed to a kid, right? I think
oh
that's
yeah.
issue 2 or 3. So there's
Yeah.
just a lot of like weird stuff going on, and it's like actually kind of like fun and different. It's not just like oh he's got to punch Brainiac again or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Lainey?
I,
What
I've
I'm sorry, go ahead. Are you still finishing that?
no that no that's it. I can stop.
Have you been
Um,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, what? I was just gonna ask what.
No, I was just trying to like, give you the floor for talking about like something that you've been reading, like whether it's like a web comic or some other more serialized thing.
Yeah, well, I think most of my like favorites from the past year have been webcomics. So I think I'll save one for later, but one that I just caught up on, because I was reading it in like 2017 and then bounced and then someone reminded me of, hey, you could read this recently, and that's Kill 6 Billion Demons.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh
yeah.
yeah.
Because now, and it was crazy coming back to it because when I was reading it, it wasn't that far in. Like Allison had just sort of arrived um, in the Citadel or whatever. Um, but coming back and now that it seems like the comic is nearly over. We're at the final book, and I don't know, just seeing how much information exists about the world that Abaddon made. But then I should explain what this comic is. Essentially, it's sort of like uh the there it starts out with this like party I don't know, sorority girl named Allison who is literally just trying to lose her virginity, but as she's about to do it with this guy who seems like sort of a skis ball, this uh otherworldly angel slash demon thing shows up and tries to put a key in his head, but it goes into her head instead, and then they both get like yeeted into another dimension. Um, and the things that are really wonderful about it are just there's this really intense world building and thought that goes into it. The art is like I don't know, lush in the way that I feel like some Satoshi Kon work is really lush. Like there's just so much hyper detail. But then it's all like one sort of line weight. So the contrast that you get is mainly from just like color pushing things back or pulling things forward. Um, but yeah, I don't know. It's a story type of story that I like because it's a contrast between like an extremely normal person and an extremely uh, abnormal situation, reacting not like heroically for most of it, but as anyone would, which is just like, man, uh, this sucks. I want out. Oh my God, I'm going to get drunk. Why can't I just leave? Um, and you get a lot of long arcs, which is something that happens in a lot of web comics. But yeah, the I really recommend it. The world is so beautiful. The art just keeps getting better and better, and it's also just uh, I don't know. I like a story that is so at once serious and it is like all about the ending of all worlds, and at the same time like very stupid at times, or like just like goofy or absurd. Um, I think that grounds the story in a really great way. That sometimes if it were trying to be just purely serious and dramatic, it wouldn't feel as solid. So that's something that I
Yeah. Yeah, like I think that I read some of that a really long time ago and um totally forgot about it. I
yeah
think
you should
yeah, I gotta get back into that. I I was just like I was just saying before we started chatting, I was going through like all the stuff that I had been reading, and it was it was wild. Like I just was pulling from everywhere, and I think like that's probably the case for all three of us. Like you're saying you were mostly catching up on web stuff. Randall was talking about like uh, a lot of Superman, because of the movie. I was just hitting the library day and night. But as far as like web comics go, the one that I've kept up with the most because the library gets the new books like the minute they drop is Lore Olympus, and I know I talked about that the last time we had one of these chats, but um, I'm yeah I'm they just got the ninth book, so I think in the last year I've read like books 5 through 9 or something like that, and it's still a series that I enjoy a lot. I it, it's just like what you were talking about, where um, there can be. like this huge like breadth of story and like and detail and all of this going on, but then at the same time there's no shortage of just like goofy, um like almost like mundane things that will just, they'll either like, they could either be sort of devastating, like in just like how they hit you, or it can just like make you laugh out loud. um and I think that's one of those things where it it being a web comic first like allows for that, because just like in manga, where like they have to sort of create so much of it like at any given time, it just allows for this like pacing that you don't get in like, oh, we need 20 pages a month and we need like 5 issues for a graphic novel trade paperback, like that like Western comics aren't necessarily known for, like, um that's, it's actually, it's something that people actually complain about in a lot of comics that come out on the stands, like even if they're not superhero comics, like, necessarily, like people will complain like, um about like, oh, there was another scene where people were sitting around having dinner talking, like, oh, how boring. And I mean, I agree, like that you should use the medium to make this as interesting as you can, even if that's all that's happening. Like, um, I think that like the stories suffer from not letting those kinds of things take place because you think it's just a waste of page realty or whatever.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's like if every single scene is an action scene, or like you're trying to constantly have the stakes really high, then there's no chance to build up to them. And I think like the reader, or at least I as a reader, just becomes sort of numb to it, where it doesn't have the same impact. I actually think it's really important to have breathing room between those moments, both because if you're trying to write characters that feel real and human, like they're going to need time to process, but also because if you want the dramatic moments to feel really dramatic, you have to build up tension around.
yeah, um, I don't. Yeah, it's. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'm not like a. I'm definitely not the kind of person that's like, I don't have a. I've read like these books, and back I used to be way more interested in like the formal or like expected way to do different things, and I read books like Save the Cat and all of that stuff like that are like, you should be doing things this way and this way. And um and I don't know, I think like the further we get into like, sort of, not to like be on a downer, but like the further we get into this like sort of hellscape that's become like our day-to-day lives, like I'm just like, I don't want to know how people expect people to do things anymore. I just want to do things in a way that satisfies me. And like sometimes like later on, like, um hindsight is 2020 or whatever, like I sometimes later I'm like, you know I could have fine-tuned this a little bit more. I could have like done this, but in my urgency to just like create something, I did it this way, and like now what's done is done, right? So that's like a thing to, sorry, I'm getting like way off of what we were talking about, but like, like I'm just trying to like say, I know there is a way to where you're, like you said, you're creating like, you have to care about these people or you won't care about the stakes. And I know that there's like a way that you do that. Like I know that there are like instructions that you can follow and stuff like that. And so it gets back to, like what we were talking about last time we had one of these chats, where it's like sometimes like you you criticize something even though like I personally, like I'm like, oh, I wish that this was happening in comics, or I wish that this was happening, but when I make comics I don't do those things either, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, I mean, you can, I don't know, it's like,
yeah. I guess I feel like it's definitely not about like having instructions to follow. I feel like I don't know. I guess it's just that you're it sounds like you're working to try to serve the story that you want to tell, and I feel like that's the most important thing above like prioritizing a certain type of scene or a certain type of interest. And so it's weird to me when other people go, oh, there was too much of uh there was not enough excitement in this issue. uh Whereas for me, actually, my like great frustration, not with comics at all, but like with TV shows, I feel like, is that I keep watching these things, or my sister wants me to watch these things, where like they start a thread every episode that could be an arc for the whole season, and then they wrap it up by the beginning of the next episode, and it makes me crazy. Um,
yeah,
it really bothers me. So I might also just be a fan of um, drawing things out a little more and letting them breathe. Uh, but yeah, I haven't read. I mean, good on you for reading craft books. I haven't read any of those really about writing, but in general, I think I try to go with what I would when reading a story, and then I'll show it to someone else, and they'll be like, "This doesn't make sense." Go, okay.
yeah. It's weird. I haven't read any of it. Like, um, I tried to get started doing comics and stuff like literally like 15 years ago, and I was drawing like in like books I'd get from the library free cart because I was like too precious about like sketchbooks that I had. So I'd draw in these books that had like uh, they were like almanacs or something, and I'd just draw over them in marker. And I thought I was terrible, and I was like, oh, I got to get better, or I can't start doing this. And I did this for about a year, and I just was like, I wasn't seeing the kind of improvement that I wanted, so I put it off for forever until like my wife had gotten an iPad and was like, have you ever heard of this thing called Procreate?" And showed me that, and I was like, "Wait, you can make all the mistakes you want, and they're never there for you to look at later. Like, this is amazing." And just that right there like helped me so much. Just like, you know, that I was able to just be like, I can start doing this now. And it's funny because like I look at something I finished like last week, and I'm like, I haven't improved much in the last 3 years. Like, I'm pretty much the same as when I just started doing this. And then, like, I'll print something that I did like 3 years ago or whatever. And I'm like, wow, I couldn't be more wrong. Like, I have improved a lot.
Yeah,
And so it's, it's, we have like our digital archives now to, to still be like, to look at and be like, oh, like, no, I have come a long way, but I don't know that 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 yeah, just that ability to like just erase a mistake instantly as soon as you realize it's a mistake was like a big game changer for me. Um, but yeah, uh, Randall, where do you sort of fall on like this spectrum of like, do you get into like, do you read into like the kinds of crafts books and stuff like Save a Cat or like On Writing or any of that kind of stuff? Like, do you look to that kind of thing for guidance on telling your own stories, or have you in the past?
In the past, yes. because I was in when I was in film school, we got assigned a lot of that stuff in
Mm-hmm.
my screenwriting class. So I do have a textbook. I have Save the Cat one you mentioned. I have another one that's like screenplay and 11 steps. I have I don't know. I have a third one. I used to be really kind of into it. Like I liked reading other people's theories and stuff. And I think when you're starting out, like I had fun like in class trying to be like, okay, well, if this guy says this, then you try to map your idea onto that. Um, I do find it helpful when you're starting out or if you're stuck, but for the most part, now that I'm drawing my own stuff and like, um, I don't really even think about it that often, actually.
Yeah. Do you not even like hash out any kind of script, or you just start drawing and you like you remember an anecdote that you want to get into and you just start drawing, or do you have like a little like mine is just like I will literally just open the notes app and I will just like speech, I will just record via like talk text, and when I like I'll basically say what the page is, and then I'll stop when I think that's the end of the page, and then I'll start on the next page and I'll say it, and I'll go back through later and I'll like separate like the lines of like whatever I said into like, oh, that's like one panel, and I'll do it like that, and that's like as far as I go, and I'll just um what I've been liking to do lately is like just set up like I'll just do thumbnails like, and by thumbnail I mean like literally just like stick figures or like a cartoon face like expression or something, like not thumbnails like where you can tell.
Thumbnails should be ugly. They are for figuring out composition. They are not for drawing.
Yeah, like
If your thumbnails are ugly, that's good.
yeah, I feel
That's
like if
okay.
anybody else looked at them, they'd be like, I had like when you see like the thumbnails of professionals, I think you still see like a lot of the story in them, and in mine, you would be like, what the fuck is this? So like, you know,
I feel like
Yeah,
the you see a lot of difference in people who are drawing thumbnails just for themselves because in like even the most professional people, I feel like some of my friends, I'm like, oh yeah, that thumbnail is illegible. Like it's very
mm-hmm,
funny. Um, and but then if you are drawing a thumbnail to show to an editor for them to be able to look at and go, here's where you can improve your composition, then you're kind of forced to make it a little more readable than you otherwise would because it's sort of like you're no longer just working in your own shorthand,
yeah,
you know?
yeah, that's the word I was
So I
gonna
feel
use,
like
shorthand.
some of that impression that you might have of like, oh, this person is making really clean stuff is probably because they're publishing through someone else and they have to make it so like five people can look at it and be like, yes, I understand what you were going for.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like I just put it
yeah,
there because I like to get it. Like I draw on Procreate, but I do the text in Photoshop, and um, I like to I like to get the thumbnails there because once I've like laid out the scenes, like I was saying, like I'll do the dialogue so that because I don't know how much time it saves me, but I feel like sometimes I'm drawing like the whole panel. I'm filling in the whole panel. And I'm like, 30% of this is going to get erased when I put that balloon there. So, like, why am I drawing all of this? Like, so I like to go in and have the thumbnail so I can put the narration there or put the text balloons there or whatever. So I'm like, okay, like the majority of the action's going to be like this, so that balloon should go there. So I don't have to draw this whole bookcase back there now, like because the text is going to cover that. Like,
Yeah,
whereas,
that's the first thing I do.
yeah, You do
Like
that
my
same.
method is usually, yeah, it well the way that I script will vary um depending on the story. Like sometimes I'm like, for some reason this one I feel like going straight to thumbnails for and then writing the dialogue underneath. Uh and for other ones I'll write like a full out script and then do the thumbnails and da 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 da. But always when I go to actually draw, because I'm working in clip, so I have all my thumbnails purposely tiny on one um on one page, and then I'll grab it, make it bigger, and then make the panels and then drop in the dialogue first thing before I draw anything at all. Because for the same reason as you said, then I know, okay, I don't need to get super precious about whatever the details are behind this spot because this text is taking up more space than I thought or something.
Yeah, because that's really annoying when you're like one thing that I'm not always that good at or whatever is like hair textures or folds in clothes. It's something that I work on a lot, but it's something that sometimes I feel like I get lucky and I'm just like, "Ooh, I really got it that time," right? And then I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
now I'm erasing that. And I feel like, you know what I mean? Like I just clubbed like a precious baby animal in my backyard or something, you know, like
Yeah, it's painful.
yeah, I'm like, no, not that fold in the knee of the trousers, not that, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, is this anything like what you do, Randall, or like since you're
Yeah,
yeah,
I think so. It depends on what the idea is. Sometimes if it's like a four-panel gag, um, I work out in my head what the punchline is, and then I'll like scribble ideas for each, like rough thumbnails, and then I'll go and do it. Um, if it's there's some stuff I'm doing now that's more like um, I'm writing out the text first to see, and then trying to figure out what image serves best for which story beat,
mm-hmm,
and then I'll do it that way. I usually I'll pencil the whole thing, and then I'll end up inking, or I'll do the dialogue in ink first, so that I know like, okay, the bubble's gonna go here. I can cover up this part of the. I don't have to pencil this, or I don't have to ink this part of the pencils, you know,
right, right,
and then I just erase it later.
Yeah,
Um,
totally. Yeah. I remember when
but
like Progress was still going, all the early pages. I don't think the actual website is over, but there's a still up, but there's a mirror somewhere you can look at or like an archive. But because they were all traditionally drawn, I remember that uh the artist was like literally cutting out speech bubbles from a different piece of paper and taping them on to the page. Um,
yeah, I used to
which
do
I'm
that
sure was
too.
like a huge pain, but it looked so cool. Like, and it really matched the style of that comic, just because it was like, going into like a big antique shop and just a lot of like visual clutter. I don't know. It made it feel extra extra. I
yeah,
really liked.
yeah. I did some collage stuff where I was drawing like uh analog, you know, physically. I was like actually drawing on paper, and I was taking like cuttings from you know different magazines and stuff from like the library was throwing out, and I I found like that. So you know you could scan it, you could scan the clippings, you could scan the art, you could put it all in Procreate, you could um, you know, you could cut it out with the eraser tool, like to be exact, you could move it around. But I found that like taking a photo of the various, like whether it was the hand drawn art, like whether it was the clipping on a separate piece of paper like taking a photo made these like drop shadows and stuff, which I was like, holy shit, I love that, you know? And
Yeah, exactly.
so,
Yeah.
yeah, sometimes it is like the way you're doing something informs the finished result in a way that's like unique to that thing, or you know, or other things that were done similarly, which you know is like, wow, I'm glad I made this mistake almost, you know what I mean, by like just trying it this way and not knowing that was going to happen, and just like, you know, like happy accident, just being like, whoa, that's fucking cool. Like I love that about everything that I, you know, that I do, where it's like music or, you know, art or whatever, when you, or, you know, a recipe that you kind of bumbled, but like you're like, wait, I did it this way, which was kind of wrong, but it's like so good now, you know. I don't know. But yeah, that's I love like talking about like process and stuff, whether it's music or art. And I could obviously just sit here and do that for another hour. But like, let's get back to like what we've been enjoying. Let's go back to Randall. What's another you know, like single issue comic or you know, serialized story that you've been reading outside of the Superman universe?
Um, I mean, the absolute stuff at DC is pretty good. I don't really have anything special to say about it, but
Yeah,
you know, that is still really good.
yeah.
The
I
Batman and
I,
Wonder
I
Woman are my favorites. Um, sorry, what was it?
oh, I was just gonna say I don't normally read Cape comics, but I have one that I've read this year that but it's from I just looked it up, it's from 2013.
oh, that's fine.
Uh,
We can get into that. Um,
okay, but sorry, I interrupted you, Randall. Uh, please go.
Um, well, yeah, the absolute stuff's fun. I like Martian Manhunter a lot. Um, um, the Sorted Crisis events at Image is another good one. That's like it's similar to Ice Cream Man, in that it's like a anthology that's like contained usually within a single issue,
mhm,
but it's sci-fi bent instead of horror. So you get like the premise is like all you know all the crazy multiverse um, sci-fi stuff that happens to superheroes is instead happening to like normal people,
mhm.
and then it's kind of through that lens of like the mundane, all like the horrific stuff is really emphasized. So it almost kind of is, it like you know comes back around to being a horror thing.
Yeah.
Um, so that's always a good read. Um,
My
I haven't been keeping up with a lot of monthly stuff. I do keep up a lot still, but like mm, that's all of what like has stood out to me this year.
Yeah, my shop randomly, like, I went in and issue 5 of Assorted Crisis Events was on the stands, and that's the one, I guess, that's about dementia, and I picked it up because like I understand that you can read them all like individually, and I love that artist, so I did pick it up, and but I'm like I'm so terrified of dementia, so like I haven't read it yet, but I'm like,
It's it's devastating.
yeah,
That issue.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
like to be, I like to be so affected by an art. You know what I mean? Whether it's music or comics or whatever. I want to read something and have it blow me away and like change my life, you know? But I'm just like, knowing what that is about and like how terrified I am of that happening to me, or more people that I care about, because it has happened to people I care about. I'm just
Yeah.
like, I'm like, I'm not ready to read that right now,
Yeah,
even though it came out like 2 months ago or something. I'm like, but they
and
never get any of the other ones, or they. I don't know. It's weird. Like there's two shops by me. There used to be three. There's two shops by me now, and one of them I don't go into that as often because it's more games and it's open weird hours. But that's the one. Like I just went in and they just randomly had issue 5, and I was like, I'm gonna grab it. So, but yeah.
yeah, and that's written by Dennis Camp, who's doing Absolute, Martian Manhunter, and
Mm-hmm.
the Ultimates.
Yeah.
And then the art by Eric Zawadzki.
Yeah. I
That dude's really good.
um
I hadn't heard of him before this, but really really playful cartooning. That like man, he can do a lot of different stuff on that book, and it looks great. And it's colored by Jordi Belair, who's also just a
the
legend.
greatest.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Literally everywhere all the time. The greatest.
yeah,
Yeah, it's wild like um that Martian Manhunter book also like that
yeah.
Martian vision thing. Like how has this not happened in a comic before? And like I'm a,
It feels so like easy, right? Like why?
yeah,
I'm sure it has to have.
it has to
Someone has
have.
to have done it before.
To explain that for anyone listening, they do this thing in this
So
comic. They call it Martian Vision, and the thing is, it's a primarily white page, and on the part that you're looking at, there is an image, and the rest of the page is white. And on the bottom or whatever, it'll say activate your Martian Vision by holding this page up to a light. And what you do when you hold up the page up to the light is you see through the white page at what's drawn on the other side, and it completes the image that you're looking at. So like how a million people have not already done
Crazy.
this in a comic, right? Is but like I showed this to my kid who is about to be 12 this month, who draws like shitloads of comics and has written like a so far it's like a 12-page script for this like animation that they want to do or whatever. I showed it to them and they were like blown away by it as well, like and it's just like it's so cool, like, and they're like, how do you do that? And I'm like, well, in Procreate it would be easy enough to do this because you would draw the whole thing, but you would separate it onto 2 layers and then you would just flip the one that's going to go on the backside so that it lines up right, um, but like such a cool idea, and they've only done it twice, but
yeah,
both times it was like holy shit, like that's awesome. um, but
yeah.
yeah,
And then the art in general in that series by
Javier
Javier
Rodriguez,
Rodriguez,
yeah, incredible.
probably one of my favorites, like
Yeah.
greatest of all time,
Mm-hmm.
maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes the plot stuff loses me a little,
Yeah, I don't have any
but
idea what's going on. I'm like, I don't.
yeah. But you feel it though, like with the art, you get it. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
yeah,
It's like I don't even I'm reading and I'm like, I don't know what's real. I don't know what's actually happened. I don't know, like they're like we have to fight the white Martian. I'm like, is the white Martian real? I don't know. Is the
yeah,
Martian in this guy's head? Is it real? Is it is it an actual like entity from another, is it all his imagination? I have no idea. Like there's probably like a definitive like this is what's actually happening, and it could be right in front of my face. I don't know. Like I'm just looking at it and I'm like, this is supposed to trip you out, and it succeeds like 1,000,000%, and it's amazing. Yeah, I don't know.
yeah. The art generally on those absolute books is pretty stellar. Like from month to month, I'm kind of like on the actual like narrative, like the actual goings ons of what the books are. but like most of it's just like tuning in to see Nick Dragata and Hayden Sherman like kick ass on art,
Yeah.
like or
Yeah.
like even the villains they had like Matthias Bergera on
Yeah, those
the
were good.
Wonder Woman issue, and it was like the most beautiful fucking art I've ever seen. It was so good.
Yeah, it was really good. I actually like reread pretty much all of Absolute Wonder Woman today. So I was like,
Yeah,
I'm still in like Sherman La La Land. Like they're definitely like like probably my favorite artist in comics right now. Like I don't
yeah,
it's
they're up there for me for
yeah.
sure.
Um, and I have I saw Hayden Sherman referred to with they them pronouns once, so that's what I'm doing. If I'm wrong, I apologize. But anyway,
No, I think they're non-binary.
yeah, yeah, I think so as well. Um, but yeah, Absolute Wonder Woman, hands down to me, best superhero comic on the stands. As long as you have that team on it, I think it's going to be just pretty much like period. Like there's something that Kelly Thompson gets about that character that no one's ever got, which is like how rooted she is to these base ideas of like goodness and honor. You know, like other people like they get it, but they don't get it like she gets it. I don't know how else to explain it. But like especially when they are tying the magic into this and how magic like demands the adherence to
Yeah,
these sets of rules and conduct, like it brings it home like so much and it's just I don't know.
that's the thing. I think you're right that Kelly Kelly gets that. But also, she's really good at putting the character in situations where you see that very clearly. Um, like I forget what like there's been a couple of times where she's had to do magic stuff that like she has to get rid of her arm,
Uh-huh.
and so she's so like Wonder Woman's kind of has like a disability, I guess. But
Mhm.
like the idea of that like sacrifice thing where she has to like lose something, it comes up a lot, and I think that's one way to really show like because you can say like oh Wonder Woman is like you know most honorable or whatever, but you have to really show it, and I think that's one that she's really good at that throughout the series.
Yeah, for sure. Um yeah, what book were you going to talk about, Lainey?
Oh, okay. So my this was something that my girlfriend showed me because they were like, "Oh, I think you would appreciate this use of form." So, like I said, it's literally 12 years old at this point, but it's the Matt Fraction and David Aja Hawkeye
Oh
Volume
yeah.
1.
Oh yeah,
Um, yeah, which I had never read, but because I am just not I don't know. I know that I should, but I don't normally check for Cape Comics to be experimental at all. But this definitely was like it's so design focused in a really fun way. Um, and I feel like the fact that so many of the panels and pages are referencing or like kind of look like physics diagrams does double work of like showing okay here's what the actual skill of being like a guy who just fires arrows, but also like how it influences the way that he interacts with people, um, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, I really enjoyed reading that. I thought the characters were fun, but I just thought it was a really sort of excellent use of form and just also talking about like sort of teams, uh, just like knowing very little about comics world. I feel like this is just sort of like an all-star team. It's like Matt Fraction, David Aja, Javier Pulido, Francesco
yeah.
Francavilla, Alan Davis, and then Jesse Ham is on there.
Yeah.
Um, so it's
Oh
just
really?
yeah, back to back incredible. And also, I don't know why it's not on the credits underneath the title, but Lieber is also on the team.
Yeah,
Um,
Lever's really good.
I love Steve Weaver.
so yeah, yeah, it's not even. I didn't even. I wasn't. I'm not, like super invested in uh the plot necessarily. Although I liked the way that it was sort of building like escapades and stuff that this Clint just keeps like tripping and falling into, ends up building into a subplot behind the scenes that he's completely unaware of. Like, it just continues tripping and falling, and that like the sort of main plot is almost happening in the background, and it's sort of swapped. The attention that gets, or the things that the most attention gets paid to, are like stuff that would normally be B plot, which I think was sort of the pitch for this whole um or it feels like that was sort of the goal of this whole thing, to be like, okay, what happens off duty? Like, what happens if we sort of reverse the focus? And I think the best part, which is the part that my girlfriend really wanted me to read, and I see why now, was like, there's one section where it's all from the dog's perspective, and so
Yeah,
everything, like, you only, like, the way that it's lettered, where it comes in and out, you only get certain words that your dog would recognize, but then also like the way it indicates smell and focus and what information, like with different little images and diagrams, is just so, like, I don't know, you can tell that these are pros who are just like having an absolute blast, um making something really cool. So that was one I liked. And then I guess that's what the newer Hawkeye show is based on. I have no idea if it's any good. Um,
um,
but the logo is the same from um this
yeah,
version of the comic.
And I liked the
yeah. David
show.
Aja is
I thought it was
a genius.
yeah. The, they
What
also
else has he done? Is there something other that I should check out?
yeah, that team also
Um,
did the Iron Fist book, which was kind of like the spiritual successor to that. Like it's very similar in like visual feel. Um, of course,
I think the
it's
Iron Fist one came first
yeah, yeah.
because that was a feature
It did come
arc.
first, and also like Brubaker was involved in that one. Um,
Yeah, if you like the designy bits, like a lot of like the page layouts, you should check out the seeds with Ann Nesenti. Um,
Okay.
oh yeah,
that's
Because yeah,
a
I don't think I'll get
or
like into the show, because I feel like it's, what's so great
no, the
about that is
show.
that
Nah,
the comics form really
no,
well. I don't understand. I don't know how the show would
yeah. I mean,
replicate
I
that
thought it
it
was
really.
doesn't.
fine, but like
It's
I thought it was good, but
it's
like
fine,
it was,
but
you
it's
know,
not the
yeah. there's there's a
no, but for the design stuff that Aja does. Look up the seeds with Ann Nesenti. It's like a really short. You could buy the trade. It's really short, and that he goes all out with that like design ethos.
Okay.
It's
yeah.
Yeah, I'll check
it's a
it out.
pretty cool looking book. But he hasn't done a lot since then, which is kind of a shame. I don't he mostly does covers now, I think.
I think the only other person that reminds me of Aja a lot is Paul Azaceta. Um, like more specific,
Really?
yeah, more specifically on what was that one he was doing with Robert Kirkman that became a TV show. I always forget the name of it because it's like a oh my gosh, I'm never gonna remember the name of it now. But
Is it like really long or something?
no, it's one word. It's just like a word you kind of hear all the time or something. You know, it's like one of those things where
Oh yeah.
yeah. Um, but it was about like it was a comic. Um, it was about it was about like essentially a a guy who, you know, for all his life he was like, oh, it's called Outcast with a K, and and it's about a guy who all his life he was like a weirdo. He's like, you know, he found himself in these situations he didn't understand, and he didn't know that like he had the ability to like dispel these demons from people's bodies by like touching them and stuff, and he didn't know that like his mom was inhabited by one of these demons, and it was this whole thing. And it turns out there's this like cult that like was trying to take out over the world, and so they were trying to like kill him. It goes through this whole thing. It sounds like really wild, but like the stuff that Azaceta did in that was really reminiscent to me of like the aha, like the stuff in the Iron Fist and Hawkeye and stuff, like a lot of the micro panels and the panels in panels, and like drawing your attention to specific details by like highlighting small things and stuff like that. Right, I really,
Yeah, I love that stuff.
yeah, it was amazing. And it was like
Sorry, is it Aja or Aha?
I
May say
I
I'm
both.
think it's Aja.
okay, I'm sorry.
I've heard it say either way.
Okay.
Honestly, so
um yeah.
Okay, I just didn't know if yeah,
Yeah,
I don't
me
know
me
what
either.
I.
I should just go with whatever somebody else is saying, so we're
No,
consistent.
don't. I
But
don't.
um,
Don't go by me.
but
I'm new here.
yeah. Azaceta recently did that. And I may be saying that name wrong as well. Recently did that thing with Rick Remender called The Seasons, which I liked a lot as well. But it's although you can look at it and tell that it's him, it's a lot different than the art in Outcast, because it's like not dark at all. It's like very vibrant and like way more cartoony, and I don't know. I really enjoyed that as well. But yeah, um, yeah, great, great book, like that Hawkeye book. And I really do
yeah,
recommend the Iron Fist book as well, if they have it at your library or something, and you can just check it out. Like even if you're not as into the story, because it's just like basically a martial arts legend, with a white guy in it, so like it's understandable that the story isn't necessarily
Yeah,
your thing.
I don't know.
You could
It's
flip
it's
through it
hard.
and
Like
be like, that's
I
awesome.
feel I
Yeah.
feel like people are always trying to be like, how do I make Iron Fist work? And I'm always like, I don't know if you can.
Yeah, not maybe not with that guy. Yeah. And
No, maybe what if he just was, I don't know, slightly more connected in some way to the culture? Like, what if?
yeah, yeah. And
I don't know.
I think they've worked on that like off and on over the like by introducing like different Iron Fists, but they can't get anything to
yeah. There
stick.
was a
And
there was a new one recently, right?
yeah, it was
Within a
cool.
Really?
year.
Yeah.
Yeah, they
My
switched.
whole
They gave
introduction
the
to him was
mantle.
the like Defenders show, so probably not the best.
Yeah,
Oh,
no,
yeah.
that certainly not.
I just really like Jessica Jones. I like Kristen Ritter as Jessica Jones. I know it's such a different interpretation of the character from how she existed in Alias, but I liked them both so much.
I really
So then I
liked
just everything else.
I really liked Jessica Henwick as in the Iron Fist show, and I was hoping that by the end she'd become the Iron Fist, and they'd just spin the series into something else, because like she was the only thing worth watching in that to me. So like that's what I was hoping for. That obviously didn't happen, but whatever. Um, yeah, I don't know. I read a lot of comics off the stands this year. I haven't had a ton of money, so I maybe pick up like 3 books a week or whatever. But that's still a lot over the course of the year. Um,
Yeah.
and uh, we already talked about Absolute Wonder Woman. That's easily my favorite ever. But Saga came out again for a while this year, and it's still amazing. Um, I think there's probably a lot that I just will not think of off the bat, but like you know, a couple of books that Leah Williams put out were awesome. Like the Gotham City Sirens book was just a lot of fun and goofy. I've enjoyed her new series Voyeur, which is like
Oh
got
yeah, I'm getting that one too.
yeah, it's got David Baldion on art, which like I I don't that that
He's
that
like leveled up, I think.
yeah, he's great, and his style is so clean and like refined that like it's perfect for that book. It's not usually like what I would gravitate to You know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I don't know. Those were a lot of fun. But yeah, let's just like get into some stuff that we've read that we pretty much know for sure did not come out this year, but it's new to us. Maybe more of this is what's been happening than not. Why don't you start, Lainey? Like, what you said, mostly you've been doing like web comics. Like did you come across just like a graphic novel or a trade like that you got obsessed with, like other than web stuff, or was it mostly just web stuff?
I think there are there are a few that I just never pulled off my shelf, but also some of them that I've lent to other people. But I picked up uh I picked up 4 Years by Karen Sapp last last like 2024 at Cake. But I reread it this year, and it's just so it continues to be so wonderful. I don't know, like I might have even talked about it last year during the during the same podcast. I don't remember. But I think that something that I really enjoy about it is that it's limited palette in a way that I think is meant to indicate, um, like when I bought it from them, they were like, yeah, this is about like dealing with trauma that you thought you were over, basically. And just rereading it, I think that the like limited color palette is sort of meant to reflect that, like the parts where the main character is sort of going back into her memories. The line work is not black anymore; it's blue, and it um I don't know, it just it kind of intensifies the experience of like something being distant and also hard to remember. But that matches, like, the only other place that blue really appears in the comic is as this sort of essentially like the trauma that this person is having is reflected in like this crazy little flower weed thing that's growing out of their leg. Um, and that's the only other blue thing. So it like is blooming and blooming and just trying to just sort of like work around it or get rid of it or something. And then it like finds all that actually, I don't know, it's coming out of this space in their mind where everything is made of that. Um, and I think it just feels really it's again a good use of the medium and um, is impactful in that way. But the other two things that I read this year that are definitely old, um, and this is a lot to do with Randall, who I remember I think 2 years ago was like, I think you would like Zoe Thor, and I was like, yeah, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then I finally
Yeah.
put her up reading it, and I was like, yeah, I do. But I read the Hack Slash Back to School and Impending Blindness, Billy Scott, um, which are they're like I feel like Zoe deals with similar things in all her work, like everybody, I guess. But it's having also read It's Lonely in 2024. It's interesting to see, um, I don't know, progression from impending blindness, which is um, I feel like tries to be tries to be more grounded, but is removed. And then It's Lonely at the Center of the Earth, which is a memoir that gets so internal. And I in my day to day life, I talk a lot of uh, I sometimes talk a lot of trash on really navel gazing memoir comics, but I kind of appreciate them more when people are willing to really commit and make themselves like it be like, okay, if you're going to say that you're a mess, make yourself look bad or uh admit that this makes you hurtful or flawed in some way. Um and I thought I really liked that. And then this hack slash feels like working through that stuff via via a character that was really suited to it. And also, I just really liked the I don't know, I don't want to spoil it too much, but I liked the horrible way it all played out. I liked the villain being represented by these very childish drawings and this obsession with uh, finding a happy ending, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. It's I also something that I just love about her work in general is like there's this central sort of style that's very her, but then there's always use of a lot of different media when it suits the narrative. And there's some scenes in this where there's like a reveal of some sort of gruesome scene that remind me also all like almost of Madoka Magica, the way that you would enter like the characters enter a space that is so um I can't remember. Can I cuss on your podcast,
Oh,
Edie?
yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay. It's so fucked.
Yeah.
Like it's so fucked that it feels like um impossible that this is not some sort of dreamscape. And that is reflected in the use of like multiple media um at different points in the book. Uh, so
Yeah.
yeah, that was
Yeah. Yeah,
something I read that I really liked. But yeah,
I was just looking, like, I just saw some stuff that she posted the other day, and I'm like, fuck, like, cause yeah, I've read,
I mean she's fucking going through it. Yeah,
yeah, I've read everything that she's put out to date, and I was like, I need to go back and read the thing she did with Scott Snyder again, called, I think it was just called Rain. Um,
oh yeah,
yeah,
I
because
haven't read
I
like
that
don't
one.
think that wasn't Scott Snyder. I don't think
it wasn't, who was it? It
Okay.
was one of those guys. It was one of the like,
it
I
was.
don't know if she was
I think
drawing for a different writer.
it
it
was
was
one of the big,
adapted from Joe Hill. I think
was
the
it Joe
Stephen
Hill?
King.
I'm looking it
Yeah,
up.
it's based on a short story of his.
Oh, it was one of those big
Yeah,
names
it's Joe
though.
Hill.
Oh, it's Joe Hill. Okay, well there you go. I don't know why I thought it was Scott Snyder. It just like has sort of like that, tone of a Snyder
Vibes.
book. But yeah, just like yeah, I need to read that again because like I think that's the only thing I haven't reread out of her stuff. Like the hack slash one just I think just came out this year or just finished this year or something. So like I've read that pretty recently, and I've read the other two a couple of times. So I
Yeah,
need
I need to
I have
reread.
issues 1 through 4, so I should catch up.
to yeah yeah let's see I'll go next. I so not my birthday's in March, not this last March, but the year before that in March, some people sent me some money for my birthday, and I bought the first volume of Berserk. And I had not read it because there's obviously if you know anything about Berserk, those big deluxe volumes are the way to get it because the art is oversized and it's the way you should read it. But they're $50 each, and there's 13 volumes. So I had not read volume 1 because I cannot afford this addiction that I was about to get myself into. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
like
That
Yeah,
is why I'm like so that has me not reading so much manga. Like my
exactly.
options are
So
translations or like being broke.
yeah, yeah. So for 1 year and 9 months, I had this book on my shelves. It was like the holy grail in my library, which I did own, would not read. And finally, I was like, you know what? I'm going to read that before the end of this year. So that was my thing. I'm going to read it before the end of the year. So a couple weeks ago, I opened it, and I had to just make myself stop and put it down because I did not want to just blow through it in like just sitting there one time and reading it. Anybody who's read any of it can tell you, obviously there's a reason that it's got all the accolades it has. There's a reason that for 25 years, like all nerds in every aspect of nerddom have referenced this material. There's a fucking video game series called Dark Souls, which owes everything to that manga. Like, everything. I mean, and it's, I mean,
So here's the thing. I haven't read it because I know that like a main feature of like very early on is some like heavy duty assault.
yeah.
So how did you how I know that like it's like I don't know, play it's not frivolous, but how did you feel about in reading that?
So, I'll,
I'm not
so,
against that existing in books, but like
yeah,
it hits
yeah.
me differently in some than others.
Yeah. So spoilers for a 25-year-old book or whatever. That's been made
Yeah.
into like 3 different animes and everything else. But that doesn't that doesn't have. There's not a reference to that until the very end of the first volume. So I don't know how they go on from there. But I will say that in the first volume, there is there's every indication that it's going to be handled in a way that is that makes it like, obviously, okay. First of all, I feel like it's fucking wild that this was in a manga 25 years ago. I think it's fucking wild because this is something that men don't even talk about now. You know what I mean? Like, men who are victims of sexual assault have trouble talk for good reason, you know. And I'm not making judgments on anybody who does or does not want to talk about their experiences. But like, I think it's wild that this was that far ahead of itself in making this a topic for discussion in a manga, right? And like, I hope that it's dealt with in a way that, and just by the sheer popularity of it, I don't see how, if it's not handled in a way that's like respectful and important to the story and important to the characters, like growth and development, like I don't see why it would be revered as one of the greatest things of all time. But also, I'm like, I've been wrong before. So all that
Right.
said,
Yeah.
like, I think it's absolutely wild that that was a thing in this comic. And I think, like, even if this shakes out in the worst way possible, and it does handle it terribly, I think it was probably really important that it did that anyway. Like, you know, like, and I
Yeah,
hope,
just making it a topic that was like
yeah,
worthy of discussion.
yeah. And I hope I'm wrong. I hope it is handled in all the ways that I expect it to be. But even if I am not right about that, even if it's done in a way that's not that great, and I still think it was probably important because we need to get there, right? And
Yeah.
so, like, like, you can see throughout the first volume, and it's like, what, it's hundreds of pages. It's like 500 something pages or something. You can see throughout the volume how this character reacts to people trying to get close to him, whether it is actually physically or whether it is not physically, whether it's just close to him, like in just like,
Like
I want to be your
emotionally.
friend. Yeah. Like, you
Yeah.
can see, like, by the time you get to that part at the end of the issue, there's work being done there that's saying, like, this is why, without saying it. You know what I mean?
Right. Like
And
there's an ongoing impact. It's
yeah,
not, I don't know. Well,
and
it sounds, yeah, I mean, ultimately, I agree.
I think that
It's
from,
necessary to talk about it and to talk about it with some. sense of seriousness.
Yeah. I think that just from reading the one volume, I think that where you find this character and the way that he acts to people, and you're like, this guy sucks. Why does everybody like everyone is like, I'm guts, you know what I mean? Um
Hmm.
like this guy sucks. Like for real. Why does everybody and you see, and then by the time you get to that and you're like, you start to over 13 volumes, you're going to see the kind of growth, I think, that makes this a character that a lot of people resonate with in one way, shape, or form. And and yeah, the swords and the fighting, like it's badass. When you're looking at this on the page, you're like, this is why
Yeah,
people love comic books, because you're like, this is fucking badass. Like, and you're like, and it's just, oh my god, like it's like what I was saying earlier about how like in a manga or something, like there's so many scenes where like man is just aura farming. You know what I mean? Like, and you can't do that in a 20 page like Western comic. Like, there's so many scenes where it's like he just like beat ass on everybody, chopped everybody to bits, and et cetera, et cetera. And then like the next 2 pages are just like he's just like propped up against a wall with this huge sword, and it's a full page, and you're like, that's badass. Like that has to be in this book, but it would never happen in like other, it would never happen in like different kinds of storytelling, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know. Like absolute like just I may like hopefully I'll get the second volume. I got a birthday coming up in March, so hopefully I'll be able to get volume 2, and I can report on that next year. um, but yeah, just
well, I actually have I've read up to the first five
oh yeah,
of those big ones.
that's awesome.
Yeah, and I do think when it comes to like the main character's assault, I do think it handles it pretty well.
Yeah,
Um, there are other instances throughout the book though that I think where it handles it less good.
yeah.
Mm.
I could see that
There's a
because it's not. They
yeah
don't think it's as important to the story or whatever. So it's just like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, and that's
yeah
that's unfortunate. Um, yeah,
yeah
I could see.
It's I
One of the major
I feel
twists
like
in the first book was definitely like it was definitely like it was unexpected, and so as a twist, like it was like okay, but it was just like wow, this feels real weird because it was just straight up pornographic and stuff, but like
yeah it
it is
doesn't
what it
and
is.
it only gets more intense. There
Yeah,
are like instances where it's very much leaning towards the exploitive
yeah,
and like
yeah,
meant to make you feel disgusting and like you have to shower after like in a
yeah.
bad way.
Oh well, yeah.
But I think that's part of the appeal of it, that how much it like wavers in between those two like modes.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause there's between the
yeah.
two, like the romance between the two leads, like there's a lot of like pathos with the Guts' assault and like his um past, and you really feel like it's working through something.
Mm-hmm.
But you'll turn the page and it's like murder and pillaging and like fucking grim dark shit. And it's cool and it's fun, but it also isn't afraid to be like the grimiest shit you ever read.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I don't know. It's wild. I was just talking about this with, some other folks, and this was in regards to like music and lyrical content. There is a huge sort of push right now where a lot of folks are being like, art isn't making people uncomfortable like it used to, and or like a lot of people think it should, et cetera, et cetera. And I think like my opinions on that like are just my opinions, and I think that there's a time and a place, and there's a way that like boundaries can be pushed, and I think you should. And I think at the same time, there's a way to sort of do that in the most like not necessarily responsible way, but it just in the way that makes the most sense to what you're trying to do, and it's not just like doing it for the doing sake, you know?
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. Like
yeah,
what we were talking about earlier, like the idea of not thinking as much about the audience and what they would or wouldn't like, but thinking about like what serves the story. And I think that's also true in this case. Is like, are you doing this because you're really reveling in I don't know, causing psychic damage to your audience and
yeah,
being having that power over them, or are you doing it because it serves the story? Because it's like horrible shit happens all the time. So it's I think it's always possible to include it in a story that you tell, and it's not necessarily about like type of content or any. It's hard to define, but it really is more about like, is this serving the story that you're trying to tell, uh, and and you know, does it make it more solid? Because it's also true that like you as a writer are in a position to, I don't know, show respect to the reader in the sense of like, I don't know, giving them chances to occupy, but also show respect for the reader in being like, I think you have media literacy. I think you can handle a person that is like a real person in that they are horrible. And at other times, really truly like the opposite of horrible. And you have to contend with the fact that people can do both of those things and still be one person.
yeah,
Um,
yeah,
like I don't know, I think that is really valuable, but that you can, I don't know, it's not 100%, but you can kind of feel when people are not really interested in doing that. They're kind of just like, how can I have shock value because it draws attention and or feels sort of exciting to have sway over how I can make people feel, you know?
yeah,
Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's
Yeah.
I don't know. It's something that you know, it's something that I've struggled with, in when I tell my own stories, and when I like not just my own stories, like, but like literally like my personal story, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah. Um what about you, Randall? We both talked about something sort of older that we, you know, just finally got around to.
Okay, older. Um, I have a, I have two tracks I could maybe talk about. Um, One of them is that this year I started drawing for myself.
Yeah.
So so I went back and I was very limited, right? Because when you start out, you know your figures are very basic and whatever. So I started by learning from comic strips. So I read a lot of Peanuts, read a lot of Calvin and Hobbes. I read Likes to Watch Out For. Um,
Oh yeah.
Hell yeah.
I read um, A Little Lulu by John Stanley. Um, I read a lot of Nancy, um, a lot of Archie, a lot of like those like really simple, like it's either a few panels, maybe a page or two, kind of like simple figures, just to figure out how I could do that, you know, with just a few drawings.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and it's all very good. I like some of the weirder ones were like um, the stuff by John Stanley, which is like Little Lulu, and he did a book um, called he did a strip called 13 Going on 30 in the 50s. He's like a 50s cartoonist. He did like Nancy stuff too. Um, he wrote a lot for like strips, but also like the funny. comic books that you kids would get. Like I think like I think Little Lulu um was like an actual comic book, I think, from like the 50s or 40s or whatever. And then I found out this one thing that Fantagraphics put out this year, I think, earlier in the year, was this guy, um, Frank Johnson. I can't remember what the name of the actual book is. Um, but this it's a story. There's a story behind it where it's like this guy kept his own diary, like his own like composite notebooks, but the composition notebooks of his own comic drawings that he did from starting from when he was a kid in like the late 20s, early 30s, and I think he did it all the way up to like the 70s, like right up until he died. And it was apparently a secret. Like someone found
Oh, he's like
in
an outsider
storage or
artist
something.
type dude. Like he was just doing it for
Yeah,
himself.
yeah, yeah. It was put up by Fantagraphics called Frank Johnson, Secret Pioneer of American Comics. Um, um, yeah, and they like you could Google it, and it's all like pencil drawings and like ruled notebook paper, and I guess he kept it hidden from like even his families, and someone just found it, and it got into the hands of like some curators, and Fantagraphics put out a collection this year, and it's pretty crazy. You can like see like uh, um his progression. I mean, the first stuff in the 20s is just like it's like kids drawings kind of. It's like um, really rudimentary, and then but he gets good. He develops his own style, and he wasn't like a professional draftsman or anything like that. He like I think of what I read, he was like he worked in a shipping company or something, like an office clerk. Um, and I don't know if he even like read like he just did this. He developed his own style and his own like idiom for telling gags and stories. And for someone who's just like kind of late in life starting to draw for themselves, it was um, kind of an inspirational story.
Yeah.
Um,
I think the wildest part
and like,
of this to me is the idea that for that many years, just knowing how much time like one drawing can take me, like, how did you keep this a secret from everybody? Like,
that's the thing. I don't even. That's what it says. If you read the comics journal or whatever, I think.
yeah,
Um, like how did no one know? You
yeah,
know?
yeah. Like, especially like if you're like if you more or less like over the course of this, if you more or less like see not that much progress in the draftmanship or however you want to put it, like then it's like okay, you like this person just like for 30 minutes a day they like hold away somewhere and drew these strips, but if you're showing like real progress and stuff, like that's some amount of time, that's being spent, and so that's wild. Like no, just nobody knew. um I
Yeah,
wonder
it's
why,
it's crazy.
why someone would go to such lengths to be like, yeah, I don't want anybody to know about this,
Well,
but
that's I don't
Yeah,
know if you guys, if you're ever in Chicago, you should go to the Intuit Outsider Art Museum, because this is like a whole specific type of person. Is
yeah,
or I don't know, that gets categorized. But people that just make and make and make, but it really is like so internal in some way. I feel like sometimes it seems shame based, but other times they're like, no, it's like just for me. And then after they die, people just go into their houses and oh my God, it's like Emily Dickinson. There's just piles and piles and piles of art
yeah,
that they made. And in the
yeah.
Outsider
I
Art
was.
Museum, there's like a replica of this guy's house because he had so much stuff, and you can
Oh
see
wow.
he was like yeah, he let me look up his name, but it's weirdly like almost a comic. The way that it's visual narrative for sure.
Oh, is this the
Um,
guy that drew like a fantasy thing for
it's
years?
sort of it's like they're like little Cupid doll babies, and they're like
Yeah, I think
it's like drawn, but also like almost photoshopped, but pre-photoshopped. Like he developed all these techniques to tell this insane story. That's sort of like dark and crazy. Like it's all these like babies castrating each other and stuff. Um, uh,
I think that's the same
it,
guy I know of. He was like a
yeah, it
janitor
probably is. Yeah.
that
But anyway, I'm just
yeah.
people like that are very
No,
special, I
yeah,
think.
I like stories like that. It's crazy. There's the other guy too. I don't know if you guys know about this guy Jandek. I think that was his name, his like musician name.
Henry
But he was like,
Darger.
yeah, Henry Darby. Yeah, that's the one I was thinking
Yeah,
of.
okay,
I think
sorry.
so. I'm pretty sure. But Jandek is another one like that where he like he made his own folk music and it's like really weird and eerie and would like self release, self publish it only through like mail order, I think. Um, and he was just kind of like his own thing for a really long time. No one even know what he looked like until like I think the '90s. But he was making music for a long time.
Yeah, I read like this thing earlier this year called the Shell Collection by Ron Reg Reg, which was like one of those things, like not exactly, but it's like you could only get these comics by like signing up to like a newsletter from him where he like actually would these comics were just on like one piece of paper, like, and he would just like mail it to you, like, and
Oh wow!
this whole incredible like it's about it's out now, it's on Fantagraphics. It's like called the Shell Collection. You can buy it now, but it's like this is something that he's been doing for like 20 years or something, just like through this like mail, mail club that he's got where it's just like one page at a time. But it also reminds me, just in the whole like making one thing over a long period of time, of one of my favorite things that I've read this year is this book called Jessica Farm. And it's about this girl that lives on a farm. And it's just, I don't even know if I could tell you like what it's about or what's going on. Like it's just wild. And the whole thing is this guy Josh Simmons, he decided a long time
Oh
ago
yeah, I've
that he's going to draw one page every month to tell this story, and he was going to have no script of any kind. He was just going to draw each page. I suppose he knows like how this story goes or how it ends or whatever. Ultimately, I suppose he knows that, but he's like, I'm going to draw one page every month of this comic. The first volume came out this year. It's 96 pages. So, like, do the math, I guess. He's been doing this for like 8 years, drawing one page a month. And
wow.
it's fucking amazing. Like, I don't even, it's not even
That's wild.
it's not even the like amount of progress from the first page to the final page in this book, which there is progress, but it's like at the same time, it doesn't, it's not jarring visually. Like you can tell it's the same artist. It speaks to you like it's the same book from the beginning to the end, which over 8 years is just wild. I don't even know if I could do that. Like, and I'm not, like it's just sometimes when I go back to something that I was drawing like 3 months ago, I'm like, how did I do this? Like,
Yeah.
but it's just like this girl, there is, and she lives on this farm. There's these tunnels under this farm where there's these like demons or some shit, and it is just a wild, like page to page, like romp of like what it feels like a fever dream. Um, and it just like everything about it was the art reminds me a lot of um, Fiona Smythe, which is like a huge compliment from me because she's like one of my like all-time favorites. It's like the lines can be very chunky and um, like there can be a whole lot of black on the page without there being necessarily like big chunks of shadow or like large like block outs of black. Like there can be a lot of black there. And at the same time, it's like not overwhelming. There's a clear sense of what you're supposed to be focusing on.
Hmm.
It's just like, I just, I wish I owned it. I just checked it out. I had the library order it because I heard about it and I was like, what? Like a page a month? Like that's wild. And I, I need to check it out again. Just, sometimes I read something that's so good I don't and I want to go back to it right away, but I know if I wait longer I'll enjoy it as much again. You know what I mean? Whereas if I just like
Yeah.
2 months later, then I'm afraid it would dilute itself because I just read it. But I don't know, and not just like, but there's really dark overtones to it where there's something wrong with her family because it's like there's all these implications like that something really bad is going to happen if she doesn't listen to what her dad says, and everything is when her dad is like cast in shadow. You don't have any real reason to believe this, but like the way the story is told does it so well that that there's a reason to like. It's just ominous and wild, and I don't know. I really enjoyed it, and apart from all that, apart from how well it does all of that, I just think it's super fucking cool and inspiring to just say, because we're all there in our lives so often where we're like, I don't have the time to do this thing that I really want to do. And I just think that setting a goal for yourself, like I'm going to do X things however often, and this might take me forever, but I'm going to get this thing done. I just think that's fucking really cool and inspiring. And I think more people could learn from that. Just being like, okay, I'm only like, I've always wanted to do a comic. I'm only going to do one a month, but I'm going to put everything I can into it, or I'm not going to put everything I can into it. Like either fucking way. If it's something you've been struggling with doing, like just making a rule, like I'm going to do this much, like every month or however much time you need to give yourself, and just seeing that through and just being like at the end, like, yeah, it took 8 years, but now there's an awesome book. You know what I mean? Like, I just think that's so cool.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, Jessica Farm. That was I read a lot of awesome stuff this year. It'd be hard for me to say that that was like my favorite, but that one made a huge impact on me for all those reasons. Also, just Spectators, I really enjoyed. Drome, I really, really enjoyed. Tongues, I really, really enjoyed. Ginseng Roots, Spent, Tedward, Space Opera Xanadex by Tom Scioli was fucking awesome in like a 80s sci-fi action movie way. I read a lot of great shit. But yeah, what are some of y'all's like absolute favorite things that you've read this year?
I think one of my favorites that I keep recommending to literally everybody is a webcomic called What Happens Next. Have either of you read it?
I know, I don't think so.
I don't think so.
Okay. It is uh I have never been, I think, as online as the person who makes it is, but they are so good at depicting people who are terminally online, and um they're also just a good writer. Like this is the story of, like, there's no good people in this book. There's no good people in this story, but everybody is interesting and understandable. And the world just keeps sort of expanding. But it's also really, I don't know. I don't generally gravitate towards comics that are like this, where it's basically like a one panel post most of the time. Um, but it really works in What Happens Next. And I think especially lately they're doing some more and more like interesting things with the jump from scene to scene. But yeah, it's also got like a really sort of like a charming art style. Um, it's really cartoony. It looks basically like it was drawn in MS Paint. Um, but then like a lot of the world building is done through screenshots of people's like Tumblr accounts, or screenshots of like when people are talking to each other. Um, for example, like, okay, right now I'm just looking at the beginning pages of it, and to show a time skip, they're showing, okay, these two people are talking on Zoom, so we know it's like 2021 or whatever. And then you go to the next page, and there is a flashback, and it's also a video call, but it's on Skype, and so we know it's like 2013. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, like they're just doing so much of that, but the actual story of it, um, it, uh, I love all the like insane detail that they go into on like how to make this a very online story. But the actual story of it is that these two kids were sort of homeschool kids who liked to cosplay as being sort of edgy. One of them like killed a girl and then killed another girl, and the other kid in the first place didn't know about the first girl, but did know literally know the second girl, and aided and abetted, like trying to cover it up basically by cutting up his friend. Um, but he
Oh,
got away with it, basically, or not got away with it, but like he got off on a like mental illness charge, like a you weren't in your right mind. The other guy went to jail. Both of them are trans also. Um, and So now that guy is just back out in the world after having been in like the psych ward for most of his like young adult life, like from 13 to 18, and then comes out and is still sort of stunted as this person who is like, I just want to watch My Little Pony and be validated about my trauma, etc. And everyone else is like, you were accessory to a murder. Please stop posting on your Tumblr about how you're the victim. Um, and I don't know. It's just that it centers around this that guy, but there are so many other spokes on the wheel of the story. Um, and I really recommend it. It's for sure the best, or one of the best comics that I've read this past year, just because it's so dedicated to the premise of like, here are all of these really real, really weird people who are convinced of their very specific worldview and spend most of their time online, and like that is a very that world is more solid to them,
Yeah.
the like
yeah.
physical world. Yeah, it's sort of the ultimate in web comics, in my opinion. So if that's something that interests you, like just like messy people and seeing how they sort of all interact like little molecules of volatile compounds, uh, highly, highly recommend.
Yeah, I enjoy stuff like that. Like even sometimes just purely from like the like when you're reading something and you're like, this is how real people talk to each other. Like that's hard to do
Yeah,
for some reason, even though we talk to each other all the time, you know? Like,
Script is so good at that.
yeah. And I just looked it up real quick while you were describing it, and um the art, at least in the first few pages that I looked at, is is very cool, but like also it was all like basically one color, and
Hmm.
with like cutouts where there would be white. And I thought that
Yeah.
like that kind of thing fascinates me because I I'm always curious to people's thoughts on like how how do you decide how to be so deliberate about like, okay, in the first couple things that I looked at, it's like the characters' eyes, like they're all purple, and there's some that are darker purple. So like, okay, so that's like a purple overlay where, and then like the darker part is like that was probably, you know, basically black behind it. So okay, that part makes sense. And then when you cut the excuse me, the purple out of the eyes, that makes sense. And then they cut the purple out of the mouths as well, and that's like, okay, that makes less sense, but I can also see why you did that. And then the speech bubbles are obviously going to be, the purple is going to be cut out of that. So we got white in the eyes, the mouth, the speech bubbles, and that, you know, and then like then randomly there's just these like tea lights, and they're white, and it's like I'm always like fascinated by the sort of the monochromatic colors, and like how do you decide what, because I try to do stuff like that, and then and I'm like, why am I making this thing blue when everything else is black and white? Why am I doing that? And like my wife is always like, you think about this shit too much. You need to just do shit and stop. And
Hmm.
like 90% of my life is just doing shit and not worrying about like why I've done it, like in music, et cetera, et cetera. But then the other 10% is me really just like, why would I make, like, why am I making these socks green? Like, you know what I mean? And it's so, like, it ultimately, it doesn't mean anything to anyone else. But, like, why did I do that? You know? So I love seeing that stuff and, like, trying to figure that out. Like,
Yeah.
why, you know, and if you ask this person, like they might just be like, "Cause they're lights, dumbass. That's why they're white. Cause
Yeah.
it's, you know." Um,
Yeah.
but
That's entirely possible, but I do feel like a lot of the stuff in this comic is so deliberate that it
right,
feels like you probably could ask and could at least be like, oh, because I wanted to draw your eye in this direction, or I wanted to communicate something about the type of YouTuber that Vicky
yeah,
Escamilla is, which is that she's the kind that has tea lights in the background and that should tell you something.
yeah, yeah,
Like there's in the more recent upstate, this isn't like a huge spoiler or anything, but there's sort of while one of the characters is sort of trying to explain like how he felt when he first like got depressed as a kid or whatever. The art style changes to look like this like Sanrio stuff that has this. I just sent a screenshot, but it has this like effect on it, so it looks like a CRT TV, like what Kiana May will do sometimes in her little Pokemon comics. Oh, that's another top tier comic that I read this year, just because it brought me so much joy. Was Kiana May's little comics about Jesse and Ash's mom getting together and getting married, because it's really sweet, and also very thought out and cutely drawn. Um, Side note, but just that like effect of like blue and red floating on it,
hmm,
that makes it very clear. Like, okay, you get a lot of information from looking at this. Not only do you get, okay, this person thinks of himself as someone who was like this innocent, like the most innocent possible little creature that's being sort of attached by himself, but also that like it's so embedded in this childish mentality that it's literally a type of technology that doesn't exist anymore, is how he remembers it.
yeah, yeah. I
So
love,
definitely it's great craft stuff, I think.
yeah. That's I'm like a real, I'm a real sucker for that, and like just like so many other, like I always want there to be some bigger thing, you know, and so that's why my brain goes there. Um, But yeah, what about you, Randall? What's your like? Everybody needs to read this thing that you read this year.
Oh, uh, maybe Drome. I don't know.
Yeah,
That was pretty good. I just got that recently. That was pretty good.
yeah, that blew me away. Um,
Yeah.
every single page is iconic. Like every page is like, this is why we love comic books. Like there's not a page in that where it's like, okay, this gets the job done. Every single page is like elevating the. I don't know. I could not have been more impressed with that either. And it's like,
Yeah. Also very designy in its layouts.
yeah, that's why I'm. It's
And
like all the. It's like a big circle here, and then like all of. Yeah, I don't know. It's amazing.
yeah.
I've I've been a fan of his for a while, and I've always thought that he's great, but like that is just next level shit. Just incredible.
Cartoonist Jesse Lonergan
Hmm.
is the artist.
Yeah, I've read.
I knew him from he did a book with I forget his name, but it was called Man's Best at Bloom.
Mm,
It's kind of like a week three, but sci-fi, more like space. And I thought that was like pretty good, but I was like, I didn't really, I wasn't into it. Like the art's really good, but it didn't stick with me that much. But this one was like, uh, and
I'm.
it's a very simple fantasy mythic story, but actually really pays off. And despite there being like not much in terms of plot, the the it's very dense visually to look at.
Yeah,
And
I.
so like, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say that the only thing with me was also just how I was talking about Berserk was I was looking for like the library ordered it, and it's like once the library has it in their system, sometimes it can, because like you had them order it, it'll tell you like, okay, we did order it and it's on your hold list, but they haven't like properly wrapped it how they wrap it, like, to preserve it with like the laminates and however they, it can take like 3 months. So for like 3 months, I know that they ordered this book and it's in my holds, and I'm waiting and I'm waiting on this book. And I get it. And it's like, it's a nice book. It's like 300 pages or so, it's somewhere around there. And every page is like amazing, but it's like there's not a lot of like dialogue or and there's no narration at all, if I remember correctly. There's not even a lot of dialogue, so it's like you really can just like zip through this thing. And I was just like, no, don't do that. Like, this guy spent like 15 hours on every single one of these pages, probably. You know what I mean? Like, sit there,
Yeah,
spend the time with it, appreciate it. Like, don't just go through this. So like I had to put it down, and I'd be like, I'm gonna come back to this tomorrow, and I wouldn't. I'd come back to it in an hour. But like, it's just like, it's amazing. Yeah, I'm trying to find the one I want to read, that Hedra, because I heard like awesome things about that.
yeah.
Um,
That one I have on my Hoopla, like what ready
yeah,
to go.
the
I'm gonna
one
check that out next.
I had read before this that I actually own is called Planet Paradise, which is really fucking cool too. It's about like this like old married couple that go to this paradise planet and bad things happen. And I don't know, it was really good, but like and that was some time ago, don't get me wrong, but like just from and I think, yeah, there's this book called Ghosts of Science Past, which is like it's almost like a kids like book, like it's almost like a kids info book, like about science, and scientists and stuff.
Okay.
I checked it out from my library like a while ago, and like just like I didn't really know much about it, but I read it and I was like obviously blown away by the art. Like um it's a like it's for like 10-year-olds, you know, which like um I can read shit like that all day long. It doesn't bother me. I'm not necessarily as interested in a book that is like so like this is this is like a narrator telling you about these people specifically. Because I think that especially for someone like Lonergan who's just so fucking talented, like it's like that kind of thing is that's not best what comics are best for. You know what I mean? Like just like information and but like obviously he's a pro and he's really good at this, so he made it work as a comic, you know. But like yeah, I don't know, I almost forgot about that one cuz it's like I said it's not like his story that he was like telling, you know, but yeah, I don't know. It just I really want to
Yeah.
check out Hedra now.
He's been apparently like self-publishing stuff for like 20 years, I think.
Mhm.
Like I on his bio that I read, it says he's doing comics in the early 2000s, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
But I think he's only gotten real notice in the past maybe 10. So I know he did a book of Magnolia at Dark Horse, um, that I'm gonna
Miss
try to track down
Truesdale.
too.
Yeah, I got like, I actually didn't even remember that he was the artist on that, but I probably actually only bought it because he was the artist on that. But I was just like looking through and I'm like, oh yeah, I had like the first couple issues of that. That was another one of those things where it was that one comic shop where it's like, I don't go there very much, but they do get more random stuff than the one I go to more often.
Yeah,
But they get it randomly. It's just like I don't. The woman who owns it is awesome. She's probably 80 years old, you know, but
oh wow,
she's awesome and she's owned that shop there like as long as I've been in town and since before. I love going in there, but it's just the hours are kind of weird sometimes, and you know, it's. I mean, it's a cool shop. It's like one of those things. It's like her daughter more or less like took it over and now like her grandson works there and like you know he seems all right but like yeah um just I forgot that also he was doing some of the pages in the New Gods, which you know
did
he's
yeah? Did you read that series? Actually, I forgot about that one.
I got I've got it up to like issue 9. I read all of them. I read it up to like issue 7 or something, and
Yeah,
I kind of heard about. It kind of got spoiled for me, which you know is whatever. But like, I'm always like, I go in the comic book shop. I'm like, I only got like $20, right? You know, so I'm like, really gonna have to go in there one day and be like, yeah, I'm gonna get issue 10, 11, and 12 so I can finish it because I want to, but I'm always just like, well, I got 3 other random things that I can get instead of spending $20 on like
yeah.
one specific thing, you know. But I don't know.
That's another one where I'm kind of like I was into it, and the story is like kind of interesting, but it's mostly just for the art. Because yeah, Jesse Lonergan did. They had like every issue had a different guest artist do the first couple
Yeah,
pages.
yeah,
And
they
then
had Wes Craig on one too, right?
and yeah, and then oh man, I'm forgetting the guy's name.
Evan
Evan
Cagle,
Cagle.
yeah,
Yeah, that's another dude who's like
yeah,
the
so
stuff he
good.
can do. It blows my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
For
another good
sure.
one.
Um, well, yeah, that's you know, that's 2 hours of comic talk there. We didn't, you know, I like the fact that we only talked about like 7 or 8 books, but we talked about comics for 2 hours. Like I'm into that. If people listening are not as
Yeah.
into that. I apologize. But yeah, Randall, you've mentioned already that this year was a big year for you, and that you started like drawing your own comics, and I've really enjoyed like watching your progress in that. Like I think that you know you've come a long way in like your compositions and like the way that you are like sort of experimenting and finding your way with that, just like we all do and have to continue to do. Um,
Thank you.
is is your Patreon page the best way for people to like keep up with that, or like are you still posting a lot of it to Instagram? Like how can people, follow what you're
Um,
doing best?
yeah, I've Patreon's pretty good. I am starting to post now on like the stuff I had been posting to Patreons, now posting to Instagram and Blue Sky.
Hmm.
Uh, so you can find it at I'm Split 7 Inch Comics, I think, on Instagram or Blue Sky, and then just Split 7 Inch on Instagram. You can there's links there for other stuff for the Patreon.
Awesome. And Lainey, you were telling a story that you were posting, I believe, first to Patreon and then on Blue Sky, called The Hearth. What did you end up wrapping that up? I have been like I was following it like day by day on Blue Sky, and I'm not sure if you ended up posting the rest of it.
No, I never posted the rest of it. I had, well, speaking of just taking a really long time to do something, I still have this like full-time job, and just for various reasons was not feeling in the comics mode for a while.
Yeah.
Um, so I just decided to take basically a whole year to make this like 20-page comic. So and I still have two more pages. Actually, while we're talking, I've been um, I just plugging away at one of the pages. But yeah, it's called The Hearth. The whole thing will be posted on Blue Sky. So if you want to just follow there, that's endless dash swords. Um, but yeah, it's content warning. It's bloody, and it's a horror comic. Um, but yeah, it was something that I got to really indulge in. Uh, I don't know, just making something. Speaking of like not thinking as much about a possible reader and why they might or might not like what you're making, I tried to just make something that was as much for me as I could, and um, also just practice color because most of the other comics that I do are like limited palette or not colored. And I want to get better at I don't know, doing more, being less literal with color. Um, so that was a fun challenge for me, but also just doing like a ton of research on um, the types of folk dress that one might wear, because I just knew that I wanted it to be a snowy setting, but then thought that if I just went with whatever I felt would be right, it could be a mishmash or even like disrespectful in some way to somebody. So I ended up going down this whole rabbit hole about like Finnish Eastern Finnish folk craft in the 16th century and how and comparing that to what was going on in Norway, and just trying to create a more, I don't know, a dense world where like none of that research is explained explicitly at all or referenced in any way, but it doesn't matter because I think it still adds a sense of weight to the story. So that, I don't know, I do think I learned a lot from working that way that I want to apply to other stuff that I do, whether that's Crash Portal Volume 2, which is still forthcoming, pending recreating for the new website. But also other ideas I have percolating, because my big goal for the year is just to send out some pitches, because as we all know, I'm sure they just take 1 million years for anyone to look at them. So if I have a job, I might as well uh, have something working in the background, floating in some editor's inbox.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's like how long everything takes all the time. It's like you feel like you have to constantly be like you have to have something going out there right now so you can have something to like look forward to or to show people like a year from now
Right.
or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
exactly. You have to be making something, and you have to make something about the thing that you're making, and you also have to have an alternative thing that you're making that's for fun.
And that was my conversation with Lainey and Randall. Thank you both so much for taking the time to chat with me. I love comics so much, and it is great to have a couple friends and just sit there for a couple hours and chat about it. Thanks so much to all of y'all for listening wherever you are as well. Don't forget to follow Lainey and Randall on social media and stop by their Patreons, as well as stop by patreon.com/humanmachine if you'd like to support the show and do all of that. Until next time, take care and do good things.